talking about some storms that we face in life, right? We're going to be talking about it. Maybe you saw my post and something like that, and the little caption was like, "Are you ready for the storm?" And I don't get too much comments for that. But I don't know if you're ready for that, because many times in life we see a storm and we think that it's really not of God, right? How could a storm possibly be from God? How can something that is going to cause destruction and hurt and sadness be from God? So today we are going to go follow Jesus and his disciples into a storm. Right? So right now, change your mind. You're going to be the storm chasers right now. So you're going to put your mindset and you're going to chase some storms here today. So I want you to get ready for that. But we are going to learn some things about Jesus and his response and how the disciples' response to these certain storms in their life. Right? So we're going to be reading out of the book of Mark, chapter 4. Verses 35 through 41. You do not have to stand for the word. I'm going to be reading different scriptures at different times, so you could just turn there. It's going to be Mark chapter 4, verses 35 and 41. Storms are a test. That's one thing. If you're taking notes, I want you to start taking notes quick, because I don't want you to miss anything. Storms are a test. Right? And you have to believe that your storm that you are in right now or last year or in the upcoming storm that you're going to face is a test. Right? During a storm, you will really discover what you believe. In a storm in life, you will get often in a storm, and then that's where okay, wow, I need to snap out of it. I need to get in full gear and start working out the storm, trying to figure this thing out. That's where you believe. That's where you truly find out who you believe, what you believe, and how you will respond. Right? Because many of us and often will get in storms, but the response that storm has to offer is maybe not a response that you are ready for. You're maybe not ready to give that response. So I want you to be ready for when you do face a storm, your response is a God-fearing response. All right? I'm going to be going to verse 35. As evening came, Jesus said to his disciples, "Let's cross to the other side of the lake." Verse 36, so they took Jesus in the boat. They took Jesus in the boat. They're already starting off right, because they are taking Jesus in the boat. Right? So when Jesus says, "Let's go," I want to go, let's head out to the other side. So they said, "All right, let's go. Jesus, you're down, I'm down, let's go." So, and when they get in the boat, the first thing that they did something right. They took Jesus in the boat. Right? So my question to you today is, are you taking Jesus in your boat? So the disciples said, "All right, let's ready to row. We're ready. All right, let's go. Let's move." So they're thinking, man, Jesus invited me to go on a little trip with him to the other side. Let me break it down. If Jesus were to come to me and say, "Let's go on a trip," I'm bringing my fishing rod, I'm bringing my swim trunks, I'm bringing my towel, I'm bringing the beach balls, but that's what we think that it is. In actuality, they thought they were going on an 8-night cruise, but actually they were heading into a storm. Thinking that Jesus said, "Oh, if Jesus is coming with me, we're good. We ain't going to face nothing. We're going to go do all the little excursions. We're going to have fun and swim with the stingrays." But no. We got it mixed up. We think that just because Jesus is there does not mean that you're not going to face a storm in your life. That was the disciples' mindset. They said, "Well, if Jesus is coming, I'm not going to face nothing." They had it wrong. Right? So follow along with me. So they got in a boat and Jesus started leaving the crowds behind. Verse 36 says, once again, so they took Jesus in the boat, check, and started out, leaving the crowds behind. Focus on that verse 36, leaving the crowds behind. What are some things in your life that you need to leave behind? God is wanting to take you somewhere in your life, but in doing so, we never can get to that destination because we're too busy carrying the garbage and luggage from our past. God is wanting to take you somewhere in your life, but God is saying, listen, hon, listen, man, you got to leave some things behind. You need to leave the crowd behind. I'm trying to navigate you through this journey, but you need to leave some things behind. God is saying, many times, God is saying, okay, I have a task for you. But in doing so, we say, well, can my brother and my sister and my aunt come? God is saying, you cannot accommodate everyone. I need you to leave some people behind, get in the boat by yourself, and accomplish the task that I have given you, leaving the crowds behind. What are some things in your life that you need to leave behind? Maybe you need to leave that relationship in the past. Maybe you need to leave that frustration in the past. Maybe you need to leave that anxiety in the past. Leaving everything behind, leaving the crowd behind, leaving the clubs behind, leaving the anxiety behind, leaving that confusion behind, leaving that depression behind. Somebody say, I need to leave it behind. You need to leave it behind in order to move forward. You have to just move yourself away for some people. Just distance yourself away from some people. We need to learn how to move forward while leaving the things behind. Because we think, well, God, you said I'm going to follow you. Prime example, one of the disciples said, all right, I'll follow you, but let me go bury my father. Okay, you cross the line. Let the dead bury the dead. If you want to follow me, you're going to follow me. But there's no buts here. If you want to follow me and be a disciple of mine, you need to learn how to leave some things behind. You need to learn how to let the dead bury the dead. You need to learn how to grow up and shrug that off your shoulders and keep moving forward. God is wanting to take you somewhere, but you cannot fit everyone in your boat. You have to think that. Someone say, I can't fit everyone. You can't take everyone. Right? You can't. It's hard. We want to take everyone. Want to take your tias and, oh, let's go. Come on. He said, it's free? I don't know. He just said, let's go. It's not how it works. Leave some things behind. Verse 35, let's cross to the other side of the lake. Jesus is talking about getting on the boat, and he gets on the boat and he goes to the other side of life. Let's cross over with Jesus to the other side. Jesus made a promise to disciples. He didn't say, you will perish in the Sea of Galilee. God said, I'm taking you to the other side. He didn't promise his disciples that you're going to get in the boat and perish in that storm. He just promised them, you're going to get to the other side. Let me give you a visual of the Sea of Galilee. You're going to see this like, man, this is small. So, the Lake of Galilee is 13 miles at its longest and 8 miles at its widest. That's nothing. That's not the side of the ocean. That's just a standard lake so you could understand how close something can be, but it can take forever to get there, right? You can say, well, it's only 8 miles, but yet you don't even know what's at mile 4. You don't even know what you're going to experience in the midst of your journey, right? So when we say God is going to take me somewhere, yes, he is going to take you somewhere, but there's probably going to be a couple of detours in there. There's probably going to be a couple of storms in that life. So just be ready. Someone say, I'm ready. 13 miles at its longest, 8 at its widest. It's about a 5-minute trip there and back to where they were going. 5 miles. What could possibly go wrong? Right? You understand that there's a man in the Bible named Jonas. There was a man where God said, okay, I need you to go. God said, I need you to go to do an assignment that I've called you to do. In doing so, he wanted to do what he wanted to do. Then he ended up in the storm. He ended up in a storm. Makes sense? God said, I'm going to send you on a mission, right? But the disciples did not perish because they were being ordained by God and they were being obedient. So when you say, how is the difference? When you are obedient to God, you will face storms, but God will get you out of those storms. When you are disobedient to God, you'll end up in the belly of a fish. You understand the difference? How there's 2 types of consequences. You can pick your actions, but your consequences is something that only God can do. You understand? So many times we say, God, I'm ready to move. Well, you need to be fully ready and understand God is wanting to take you somewhere, and I believe God is going to take you somewhere, but I want you to be ready. The disciples got into a storm because their obedience to the Lord. They were obedient to God. God said, let's cross over. So they crossed over, and doing so, they were being obedient. They got in a storm, and then I don't want to jump the gun, but someone say, my obedience will get me there. On the other side, Jesus had performed miracles. On the other side, Jesus confronted the Pharisees. He taught about the kingdom of God. The crowds were growing and everything was looking good on this side. On this side, the disciples' faith was on point. Their trust in Jesus was easy and fun. But on the other side, they didn't even know that they were about to be tested. They didn't know a storm was coming on the other side. Sometimes things are going well, but man, it's crazy how it sounds, but sometimes when we fully accept Jesus, you will experience the craziest storms in your life. It's crazy that many times that's why Christians back out and say, man, it's not for me because I didn't know I was gonna experience this. I wasn't experiencing nothing when I wasn't even saved, and now that I'm serving God, it's crazy how these things are happening, and it's just because God is trying to test your faith. God says, all right, let's go to the other side. I'm going to get in this boat, all right? I'm going to go slowly because I don't want to fall. Let me get in. Jesus puts you on a boat. And let's go over. All right. You ready? All right, we're going. I left that relationship behind. Wait. I'm going further. I left that addiction behind. Whoa. I'm getting deeper. What's going on? Wait. It's lonely. You said to leave it behind, and I'm trusting that I'm leaving it behind, God, but I'm getting further, and it's getting dark. Oh, wow. I'm in the middle of nowhere. Wait, but that was the substance that was keeping me alive. God, I can't leave it. I'm sorry, but you're already moving. Hello. Anyone there? I'm alone. On that side was good health. On this side is illness. On that side it was a honeymoon. But on this side it's a divorce. On that side it was a new car. On this side it's a repossessed car. On that side it was a new business blossoming and booming. But on this side it's bankruptcy. I want to go back. You can't. But it was better over there. I know, but you're going to the other side. But I want to go back, God. You're not going back. You're going to the other side. But I just lost my house. You're still going to the other side. I just lost my children. You're still going to the other side. I just lost my marriage. You're still going to the other side. Come on, I just lost my car. You're still going to the other side. But it's getting dark. It's getting dark and scary. At least I had friends back there. At least I had a relationship. Yeah, it may not be faithful, but it was still in a relationship, God. I had the cars and the money and the fame back there. I don't care. You said you're willing to go, so we're here. But on the other side, it was better. I don't care. You're going to the other side. What do you do when you are in a storm? What do you do when the storm is ordained by God? Let me ask you something. Are you in a storm right now? Are you in a storm right now? It's getting dark. Whoa, whoa. You didn't tell me this was going to happen, God. Come on, God, you just said we're going to the other side. Under Jesus' instruction, a fierce storm came. A fierce storm came. The fierce and violent storm happened suddenly. One phone call that you answer, you're in a storm. One doctor's visit and you're in a storm. One conversation and you are in a storm. God does not trick us in going somewhere. God is telling you, if you decide to follow me, you will be in a storm. Right now you feel alone. Right now you're all alone in this boat by yourself. You're thinking that this is done. The question is, we can lower the rain a little. The question is, do you have an anchor in your boat? The question is, do you have an anchor in your boat? Look at this. The disciples, remember when I said they already started off right. They had took God with them. They had the anchor in the boat. But did they use it? Did they have faith in it? Did they trust it? Or did they just let it like, well, I guess God is going to do something? No, God is saying, you know what? You need to have faith in me. Let me throw this over. Okay. Throw our anchor. Okay. All right. There's a storm, God. I threw my anchor over. One day from another, you got a phone call. Hey, I'm sorry to tell you, but this is Dr. So-and-so. You have some cancer. Whoa. Hey, I'm sorry, but I'm filing the divorce papers. I'm sorry, but we're going to have to take your house and your car away. I'm sorry, but that relationship's not going to last any longer because of the storms in our life. And the question is, do you really have an anchor in your boat? Do you have an anchor in your boat this morning? I want to show you a picture. If we got those pictures of the boat, the big one first. Look at this. This is a big ship. If you see the circle, what is there? An anchor. The size of the boat still needs an anchor. Let's go to the next one. What does this boat have? An anchor. No matter the size of your storm, no matter the size of your boat, no matter how much money you have, what you drive, what you wear, what brand you like, no matter the size of your bank account, you still need a source of anchor. You still need your anchor to hold you through the storm. God is saying, I am here. I am your anchor. I am your source. No matter what you're going through, no matter what you have, no matter how to... You have to trust in your anchor. What is your anchor? Is your anchor depression? Is that what you're holding on to? Is your anchor frustration? Is that what you're holding on to? Is your anchor drinking? Is that what you're holding on to? Or is your anchor God, knowing that He is going to sustain me through the storm, knowing that He will get me through the storm? It may seem dark, it may seem cold, but I know that I am anchored in God. Come on, somebody shout, I am anchored. It's funny how the disciples had the anchor in the boat, but if they didn't use it, apparently, they didn't have what they needed to have. You can have the anchor, but it ain't doing no good in the back of the boat. You better drop that anchor and sustain and endure that storm. God is saying, I didn't give you an anchor so it can sit there. I gave you an anchor so you could plant it in the midst of darkness, so you can plant it in the midst of your storm. My God. God is saying, I know you're facing some things, but I gave you an anchor for a reason. I took that call to Daniel Perez. I said, what's the reason for an anchor? He goes, well, because the boat won't move. I go, simple enough. You will not move if you are anchored. If you are anchored to God, there's no devil in hell that can move you. There's no devil in hell. Yes, it's going to, come on. God is wanting you to endure the storm. Endure it. Someone say, I have to endure it. Endure the storm. And many times we think the storm is from the enemy. And this is what we do. The boat's a little wet, but, oh, hold on. Hold on. This must be from the enemy. Let me go to another job. Let me roll my way to another job. Let me roll my way to another school, because this must be an attack from the enemy. Let me roll myself into another relationship. It must be an attack from the enemy. Let me roll myself into another church, because it must be a scheme from the enemy. You have been to 10 churches and the churches have not changed. It's the storm that you're facing. Maybe God is seeing if you will endure the storm now so you can see the sunrise later. God is saying, endure what I have given you now. Endure the finances that I have given you now. Endure the minimal that I have given you now. Because in due season, you will reap your harvest. In due season, your bank will overflow. In due season, you'll get that house. But don't roll out of it. Don't be scared and roll out of it, trying to get out, trying to see where I can go. God is wanting you to endure the storm that you are facing in your life. Someone shout, I'm not rowing away. I'm not going to paddle away. Come on, you gotta endure the storm. You have endured some crazy things. God is wanting you to endure what is yours. This church is yours. That relationship is yours. Those finances is yours. Endure it. Get a hold of it. Grab it by the reins. Take control of what is yours. Don't back out and be scared. God is saying, I have a mission for you. You need to accomplish that mission. God is wanting you to anchor in the midst of the storm and say, man, I'm going to stay here because I know you will sustain me. It's crazy because God will often escort you into the storm. It's hard to wrap your head around, but God is saying, all right, you said you're ready, so here we go. I'm escorting you into the deep. We're rolling into the deep. It's gonna get scary, but I want you to stay in there. It's gonna get a little, yeah. Be prepared for what God is going to do in your life, guys. Not everything is rainbow and sunshines in Christianity. We need to speak the truth. Yes, the blessings will come, but we need to learn how to endure the roughness, endure the storm, endure the rain, endure the hurricanes in order to receive what God has for us. God is wanting you to sustain and say, you know what, I'm here for you, but you got to meet me halfway. I want to help you get to the other side, but it's just going to get worse if you go back. Continue to do what God has called you to do. Continue to be anchored in God, anchored in love, anchored in faith, and that's one thing that the disciples did not have. They understood the goodness of God. They understood that He can perform miracles. They knew that He can heal the blind. But when it got real, they were like, whoa. It got real quick. They were getting scared. Are you anchored to God? Do you have faith that God will get you through that storm? Do you have faith that God is right there with you? Do you have faith even though the waters is getting high? Do you have faith even though the wind is picking up? Do you have faith even though you're getting tossed around? Come on, do you have faith knowing that God will sustain you? The hurricane winds are blowing. It's getting tough. The waves are crashing into the boat. The boat is filling with water. Can't go back there. I still got a couple of more miles. My anchor's dropped. I don't know what to do. The wind's picking up. You know what's funny? The disciples were pretty much all experienced fishermen. They knew the ins and outs of the water. They knew where they stood with the water. They knew to fish from this time to this time. They knew the best time to go out and the best time to come in. But did they fully comprehend the goodness of God? You can be at a church, in a church worshiping, but do you really comprehend the mercy and grace of God? Do you really understand that God will get you through the storm? Do you really understand that? We can be here and put a smile, but do you really understand what God is capable of doing in your life? Do you really understand what God can do in your marriage? Do you really, really understand how God can bring some children back? If you understand that, if you understand the goodness of God, if you about to die. It's getting crazy. I'm starting to panic. I'm starting to sweat. I'm starting to get a little worried. What do I do? Listen up. It's been exciting. But let me tell you this. This is where it gets a little Let's read verse 38. This is what we don't want to hear, but we have to. But he was asleep on the cushion. Whoa, 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 whoa. Hold up, hold up. You mean to tell me I'm in my darkest moments right now and God is sleeping? Well, you mean to tell me that my child just passed away and God is sleeping? Wait, you mean to tell me that my marriage is about to be torn apart and God is sleeping? What do you do when you are in a storm and God is sleeping? Not just sleeping, he had a cushion. He had a bed and a mat rolled out. He had no worries. He was sleeping. What do you do when you are in a storm and God is sleeping? And you know he's sleeping. Because the disciples knew where he was at. The disciples knew where he was at. We can know where God is at, but man, do you really have faith? God does not need to be awake to do some things. God is, you don't need to be on land for God to do a miracle. If you just speak the word, I know he will live. If you just touch the hem of his garment, I know I will be healed. If you just touch my eyes, I know I will see. If you just speak, come out, I know I will live. Just by the voice of God, God will do something for you. Just because God is asleep does not mean he is not working. Just because you don't see it does not mean it's not coming. Just because you don't see daylight does not mean the storm is not coming to an end. God is going to do something in your life, but we first need to learn how to endure the storm. Somebody say, I'm going to endure it. The greatest storm of my life is happening right now, God, and you're sleeping. Have you ever asked God, where are you? Be honest. Where are you? It's dark. It's cold. It's wet. I'm getting seasick. I'm getting tossed around. What do I do? And this is where we find ourselves. Jesus, wake up! Jesus, wake up! Come on, we are going to die. Wake up! Help us! Oh, so what happened? Can't you see we're gonna die? Can't you see the water is filling the boat? Can't you see we're getting tossed around? Can't you see my marriage is falling apart? God, can't you see my children are lost? Can't you see I have an addiction? Can't you see I'm riding the bus? Can't you see these things, God? And God's saying, you woke me up for that. Are you serious? I was sleeping, and you know I was sleeping because you heard me snoring on the bottom of the boat, and you woke me up to tell me that. Why did you wake me up? Really, for this? Who's the one who told you to cross over? Who's the one who told you to go to the other side? Who's the one who is on this boat? Who is the one who told you to get on this boat? Who is the one who ordained the storm? Who is the one that pushed you into the deep? Who is the one that caused your marriage to have a little roller coaster? Who's the one who caused your child to be gone for a little bit? Who's the one who gave you that addiction? Who is the one who ordained this storm in your life? I am the one. You woke me up for this. You want me to help you with this. I am the one who told you to do this. I said I was gonna cross you over to the other side. I did not say you were going to die. I did not say you were gonna have a shipwreck. I said I was crossing you to the other side. Many times we want God to give us the whole logistics and the map plan. Well, God, if it's a little unclear here, so what's gonna happen there? Well, I don't know about this. I'm a little worried about this area. Can you tell me? No, God is saying, I'm just telling you where you're going from and where you're going to. That's it. What I do in the midst is up to me. When I test you is up to me. What I put in your path as a storm is up to me, because I want to see if you have faith in me and if you are anchored in me. I want to see if you are anchored in God. I want to see if you could sustain the storm. God is wanting to see where you stand, and maybe that is why you are in a storm right now. Maybe that is why you were in a storm all last year, because maybe all last year it was dark and cold and wet and scary. Maybe God, but look at you now. Look at where you are now. Look at where you're sitting right now. Look at you raising your hands. Look at you clapping, because you were anchored in God. You sustained the storm. Why are you so afraid? Have you still have no faith? You've seen what I've done. You've seen what I'm capable of doing. You saw the blessings I gave your neighbor. You saw the marriage I restored a couple of weeks ago. But why are you scared? Do you still not believe in me after everything I have done for you? You still do not have faith and trust that I am the Alpha and the Omega? You still do not believe that I can get you through your wildest storms? Do you still not believe that? And maybe you're like, Jimmy, I really don't. I don't believe that God can get me through that storm. I guarantee you, there is someone in this house that has seen the goodness of God. There is someone sitting in here today that has had restoration upon their life. There is someone in here today that had some burdens and bondages taken off. There is someone in here today that had the scales taken off of their life. There is someone in here today that has seen the goodness and faithfulness and love and grace of God. Jesus woke up and said to the storm, "Peace, be still." Peace, be still. If God is peace, God is giving you peace today. To have peace in the storm. God is wanting to take you somewhere. Get out of the sand. Stop making sandcastles. Stop trying to find some shells. Get on the boat and cross over. Hurry up already. We got somewhere to be. We got a calling to do. We got somewhere to go. We got a mission to do. We got lives to save. We got marriages to save. Come on. Peace, be still. And know that I am with you. Wherever you go, I am with you. Come on, you have seen some sun, you have seen some storms in your life. Come on, peace, be still. It's gonna get good. The anchor remains in the storm. Your anchor will still be there after your storm. No matter what you've been through, no matter who's told you what, no matter what they told you were not going to accomplish, when the daylight comes, your anchor, your source, God will still be there. God will remain in the storm. When you are in a storm, guys, I want you to be like Jesus, because you were made in his image, right? So let's be like him and have the peace in a storm. Learn how to contain yourself. Learn how to have some self-control when you face certain issues. God is doing this all for a test. And if you don't believe me, let me tell you James 1:2-4. Write that down. If you say, "Man, Jimmy, I don't really know that God is putting me this for a test. How could it be?" I'm going to tell you. Verse 2, James 1:2-4. Dear brothers and sisters, when troubles of any kind come your way, consider it an opportunity for great joy. Wait, whoa. You want me to consider it joy? That's what it said. When you face a storm in your life, consider it all joy. You are in a storm right now. Consider it all joy. Come on, count it all joy. Someone say, "I'm going to count it all joy." Come on, you got to believe it. You got to believe it. If you don't want to, that's fine. But if you're going through something right now, you have to be bold enough to say, "God, I am trusting you. I am believing in you. I am going to count it all joy, because I know you will sustain me in this storm. I know you will get me through this storm, because I am anchored to you." Consider it all joy. God is saying, I want to test your faith. I wanted to see where you stand as a Christian. No matter if you're saved or not, you will get tested. No matter if you're in a relationship or not, you will get tested. No matter if you smoke or drink or do drugs, you will get tested. And I guarantee you that God is going to see where he can test you. God is going to test you in certain areas to see what you're capable of doing. How do you want God? I want to lead a church if you can't even lead yourself. God is saying you need to have control over yourself, over your life, over your marriage. Take control over your children before I give you anything else. I am not going to give you a soul to take care of if you can't take care of yourself. If you consider it all joy now, then I'll consider it. But right now, you just have that sour face of frustration, of anger, and why me? Why my children? Why my marriage? That's exactly why you're not getting blessed, because you are not considering it all joy. Consider every little thing joy. an opportunity for great joy. Not just joy, man, I have the opportunity to be happy. Why? Because even though that's going south, I know I'm still anchored to God. I know I'm still loved by God. I know I'm still His masterpiece. I know I'm still the beginning and not the end. I know I'm the head and not the tail. I know who I am. Verse 4 says, so let it grow. Let your faith grow. Every time you face an opposition in your life, consider your faith just growing. Consider your ability to keep on enduring is growing. So let it grow, for when you endure, for when your endurance is fully developed, you will be perfect and complete, needing nothing. Something is coming out of this storm. I believe that you are in a storm right now, or you are going to face one soon, or you just got out of one last year, but something is coming out of that storm. Something is coming out of that darkness. Something is coming out of the deep. Something is coming out of that marriage. Something is coming out of that issues. Something is coming out of that financials. Something is coming out of that house. Something is going to come out of those children. Something is going to spring up, and when it springs up, you better be ready to harvest, because God is going to do something in your life, and you need to make sure you're ready for that. The storm will not last forever. Every storm runs out of rain. Every storm will soon begin to stop. Every storm will begin to slow down. But if you are anchored to the goodness of God, then nothing can depart you from that. Hey Jimmy, my anchor's not set. Drop it quick. I don't have that anchor. Drop it quick. Why? Because that is only going to bring destruction. You don't want your boat to have a shipwreck. You don't want your children to go down. You don't want your marriage to go down. You don't want your church to go down. So anchor it knowing who you serve. Anchor it knowing who you love. Anchor it knowing who God is. Anchor in God. That is everything, guys. You need to be able to be saying, God, I know who you are. I know you are my lifeline. Did you know that the anchor is even working when you do not see it? Even though the anchor is hundreds of feet down, it's still working. Even though the anchor, you can't hear it or see it, it's still working. Just because you don't see God in His physical person does not mean He is not working. Just because you don't see God walking around does not mean He is not healing. Just because you don't see God does not mean He is not blessing. Just because you don't see God does not mean you're not going to get that house. Just because you don't see God does not mean you're not going to get your car. Just because you don't see God does not mean you're not going to get that job. The anchor is working, and it's going to continue to work. Let the anchor do its job. You rest, and peace be with you. Rest in the storm, knowing that God will get you out. Man, imagine if all the disciples were sleeping like Jesus. They would have felt it. They would have seen it. But if they have the peace of God upon their heart, they would have not worried. Maybe you've been worrying for some time, frustrated for some time, anxious for some time. But God is saying, if you are anchored in me, I will give you the peace that you need. If you are anchored in me, I will give you the healing that you need. If you are anchored in me, I will give you the restoration you need. But you have to be anchored in God. And if you're not, that's fine. I'm going to help you to get there. If you're saying, God, I don't know what to do. I don't even know who you are. I don't know. I'm just here for the first time. I don't care about that. I just want you to know that we are here to help you, to support you, and love you, so you can understand the goodness of God, so you can understand the love of God, so you can understand what a real anchor means. Sometimes we just got to worship through the storm. Can we turn the lights off real quick? And we can put that storm back on. Not the sound, just there you go. I believe that the storm is ending for some people right now. The storm will end for some people tomorrow. Maybe the storm has ended for you last year. Maybe the storm is about to start for you. But guys, I want you to understand, be anchored in God, be anchored in His love and faith. So when the storms come, when the trials come, come on, you have to believe it. When things come your way, you have to be able to say, God, I know who you are. I know what I'm anchored in. I know where my foundation is. I know where that anchor goes down deep inside, grasping and holding on to me. That is God. The relationship that you have with God is there. God is saying, I'm here to help you. I'm here to support you. I'm here to love you. But you need to learn how to worship me in the storm. Learn how to endure in the storm. So I want to worship here tonight. This morning. I want to worship here today because I see some storms in your life. But guys, let's learn how to worship through these storms.
I'm gonna sing in the middle of the storm. Louder and louder, you're gonna hear my praises roar. Up from the ashes, hope will arise. Death is defeated.
Come on.
The King is alive. Oh, I'm gonna sing in the middle of the storm. Louder, louder and louder. You're gonna hear my praises roar. Up from the ashes, hope will arise. Death is defeated. The King is alive. I'm gonna sing in the middle of the storm. Louder, louder and louder. You're gonna hear my praises roar. Up from the ashes, hope will arise. Death is defeated. The King is alive.
Come on. If you are in a storm right now, I want you to count it all joy. I want you to thank God for that storm. God, thank you for that brokenness. God, thank you for that addiction. God, thank you for that marriage. God, thank you for this storm. I am going to learn how to sing in the middle of a storm. I'm going to learn how to shout in the middle of the storm. I'm going to learn how to depend on you in the middle of the storm. Come on, guys.
Oh, sing a little louder.
Sing a little louder.
Oh, I will sing a little louder.
Sing a little louder.
Come on, sing a little louder.
Sing a little louder.
I'm gonna sing a little louder.
Sing a little louder.
Oh, sing a little louder.
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 Oh, sing a little
I'm gonna
louder.
Oh,
I'm gonna sing in the middle of the storm. Louder and louder, you're gonna hear my praises roar. Up from the ashes, hope will arise. Death is defeated. The King is alive.
Praise God. There are some people in the Bible that have faced storms in their life. For an example, the Israelites, 40 years of storm until they could get to the promised land. 40 years of wandering until they reached their destination. God is saying you are going to face storms, but that does not stop you from getting to your destination. God is guiding you through every storm. God is guiding you through any and every situation in your life. God is saying, I am the guide right here. I'm going to take you where I want to take you, and I want to see where you're going to stand, guys. We have to understand how to trust God. Say, God, I will trust you. I will sing and praise you in the middle of the storm. And you know what the funny thing is? Even though you're in the middle of a storm, God will show you brighter than your enemies. God is going to prepare a table for you in front of your enemies. Even though it may seem lost, God is going to say, look, my good and faithful servant. I'm still preparing a table for you. I am still blessing you. I'm still giving you. I'm still blessing you. I'm still giving you because you have endured. We have to learn how to trust God. Someone shout, I will trust you. I see the shore. I see the shore. I see the sun. I see the land. I see some newness. I see a destination. I'm seeing something new. That means my storm is almost over. I see it in the distance. God is going to do something in the distance. God is going to bless you in the storm. I see some sun. I see the sun rising. It's almost there. I'm getting closer to my blessing. Come on, I'm getting closer to my blessing. I see it coming. I see it coming. You better get excited. You have to understand, when God puts you through storms, the way you went in is the way you're not going to come out. The way you went in with some things, you're not going to come out with those things. You have to understand that, because we will understand that, man, if I'm ready to go to the other side, I have to leave it behind. But maybe you're like, man, I left some things behind, but I still have some things in my boat. That's where you begin to start throwing things over your boat. We need to get rid of that. If you have some things right now that you need to throw overboard, throw it over now, because when you get to the newness, when you get to something new, you don't want to be carrying that. You don't want to be carrying that frustration. You have to throw it overboard now. Someone just throw it out. Come on, you're throwing away anything that needs to be thrown away. Throwing away that frustration. Throwing away that addiction. Throw it overboard. Throw it overboard. Come on. If you are in this place right now saying, God, I need help. I don't know what to do. I need you to guide me through these storms. I know you've been there the whole time, but I just have not used you to the best of my advantage. I'm ready to drop my anchor. I'm ready to just grow up and sustain and be in that storm. I'm ready to fulfill the calling that you have given me. I'm ready to serve at church, God. I'm ready to be the one that you have called me to be. So if you are that person, I want you to lift your hands. No one at this church prays alone. So if you're here for the first time saying, man, I'm a little scared to do that, we're going to help you. We're going to help you. And it all starts by asking God for forgiveness, admitting that we are wrong, admitting that we have done some things. Then after that, you will see the goodness of God. Then you have to use what God has given you in your life. This message right here is not just to be said. It's for you to learn how to use your anchor. It's for you to learn how to throw some things behind and leave some things behind. It's for you to learn how to sustain and worship in the storm. You have to use those principles in your daily life, guys. So here we go. Every hand lifted, every eye closed. We're going to help you out. Repeat after me. Lord Jesus, forgive me for all my wrongdoing. I know I am a sinner, but give me more of you. Renew my spirit. Renew my life. Transform me, God. Guide me into the deep. Help me to worship in the storm so I can sustain in the storm. I love you, God. I thank you, God. In Jesus' name we pray. Amen. Come on, let's worship.